I'm gonna record this. Okay, so we're recording. So this is the coach rank call for, what is today? September 19th. And you guys, we have a lot of fun stuff coming up in not only this month, but the next few months throughout the rest of the year. Hopefully you've all kind of put together a marketing plan and you have some kind of guidance and direction and where you're going and why you're posting and a lot of those things. But let's see, who do we have on? Does anyone have a specific topic or anything that you guys want to talk about first? And if you can, I would love to see your guys' faces. I obviously, like those of you who are on to support your coaches, you're good. But if you're a coach rank, if you're here for the call, I will, if at all possible, I'd love to see your face. That way I know who you are and can see your beautiful face, because it's not as fun to talk to black screens, as you guys know. Okay, so coaching, who has been a coach for like a month? Anyone brand new? Okay. Who's been a coach for like 3 months? I feel like my light sucks so bad. I need to get a light background because my wall is so dark. I swear my lighting is crazy. Okay, you guys are super talkative today. What do you guys need help with? Like, what specifically do you need? What are you wanting some guidance on, or like even just a topic? Give me something to give you guys. Let me give you a little background on me. I know a lot of you, but there are some of you that I don't know. So my name is Melissa, and I've been a coach for like 5.5 years now, and started coaching when I was working full-time. So if that's what your life looks like right now, that's totally normal. I was a high school English teacher, a creative writing teacher. I was the head coach of the volleyball team at our school. That's how I got my job. And I had 2 kids, under 2. My oldest was 2, and then my baby was about 4 months old when I started coaching. And I became a coach strictly, like I was all in for the business. So that might be a little different than some of you guys. Maybe it's the same. Like, how many of you guys started coaching? Oh my gosh, can you tell I'm trying to like mess with my light? It's just not helping at all. How many of you guys became a coach for the coaching opportunity, like for the business? Okay, awesome. How many of you became a coach because you're like, okay, I need that extra added accountability. I need like to be in charge of something and someone and have someone looking to me to like stay on track. Those are like my 2 top reasons, because I knew, for one, if I had to hold other people accountable, I was going to be way more accountable myself. And that was very, very true for me. And I think it's honestly the best kind of accountability that you can get. You're having to show up in your challenge group. You're having to show up on social media. You're having to stick to your goals. And the best part about that is when you are staying accountable, when you are showing up, when you are checking in every day, when you are a lifelong challenger, you're more likely to be a better coach. They kind of go hand in hand, because you're getting awesome results if you're sticking to the programs. You're proving to people that it's possible, even with a crazy schedule. Because literally, you guys, every one of us has really busy schedules, right? Like, which I'm sure every single one of you is making a sacrifice right now to be on this call. And that's just how life is. It's crazy. Like, I literally just got home, handed my kids off to my husband, and ran in and turned on my computer. Like, we're all making sacrifices, but the sacrifice is so worth it in the end. It was either earlier this week or last week, I was talking with a team, it was probably my team actually, about sacrifices and about what it takes to be a successful coach, because success doesn't come without sacrifice. And it's kind of like a harsh reality, and not all sacrifices have to be bad, right? But like, think about, I know when I was coaching volleyball and when I was teaching, I definitely had to sacrifice time with my kids. I had to sacrifice time with my favorite TV shows. I had to sacrifice time with my spouse. I had to sacrifice hanging out with friends. I had to sacrifice eating lunch with my friends at school. There were a lot of things I gave up, knowing that those little sacrifices for that small amount of time would pay great dividends in the end. And sometimes there were times when I was like, it's not worth the sacrifice. Like, it's not worth missing out on this, like missing out on a soccer game or missing out on a date night or whatever. But the best thing is you get to choose the things that you're giving up so that you can make time for the things that are so important to grow your business. The things like making sure you're inviting. I think that is like the hardest thing for me, because it takes me the longest. It takes the most time for me to send my invites. Now I've delegated that to an assistant who does that every single day so that I can focus more on my team, that I can focus more on creating better content, that I can focus more on recruiting. But those things in the beginning for 4.5 years, literally, like, I just did that this past, like, 2 months ago. So for 5 years, I've been doing that all myself. And it's totally doable, but you have to realize, like, you have to give and you have to take too. Okay, I'm gonna read some of these things. Full-time teacher, extended care and preschool. Oh my gosh, yeah. I want to work from home to support my son with ADHD. Been wanting to get out of the classroom. Okay, I'm so glad you shared that, Megan, because I feel like our kids, I feel like I'm gonna get emotional right now. Like, my kids are such a strong driving force for me to do whatever it takes to be there for them. Like, whatever it takes. I will literally walk through fire for my children. And sometimes it's going to feel like that, right? Sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes you're going to be like, why am I doing this? Like, is it paying off? I thought that a lot of times in my first year as a coach. Like, is this even paying off? Is what I'm doing even making a difference? But I will tell you right now, the people you see at the top, the people you see in the top 10, the people you see being recognized, those are the people who just never stopped trying, who never gave up, who kept evolving, who kept growing as a leader, as a coach, as a human being, you know? And because they never gave up, now they get to serve their kids in a different way. They get to serve their families in a different way. And that has always been my goal. I don't know if this is like okay to say, but like rank and all that stuff, that's not like a huge motivator for me. Getting home to my kids was like the number one motivation. And that was one of the things that I thought about every single morning when I would get up at 4:45 a.m. That was something I'd think about every lunch when I was like, it'd be really awesome to just not work all the time right now. That was like what I thought about every day after school when I'd stay an hour and a half extra past my, what do they call them? My hours for teaching. Just so that I could get an extra hour of work while my kids were at daycare. So instead of picking them up at 3:30 when my hours were up, my contract hours, thanks, Jessica. That's exactly what I was looking for. When my contract hours were up, I stayed another hour and a half, even though, that was outside of our volleyball season, obviously. But even though I, could have easily just gone and picked them up and said, oh, I have to take care of my kids, like, I just sacrificed a little bit. So I challenge you guys, if there is something you can do a little bit more, if there's something that you can give a little extra towards in your business, go for it. Like, you can't not go for it. I'm going to read the next one. Allison, that speaks to me so much right now. I'm not eating lunch in the staff lounge. Yeah. Sending invites. See, yep, girl, it seriously will pay off so much. And in the moment, it kind of sucks. But now I look back, and it's funny because I was talking to my coach, Nikki, earlier. She's a elementary teacher and elementary teacher. Let me correct my English. And she was saying, she's like, I've been hustling. I've been working. The other day, I just decided I was going to go and sit and eat lunch with some of my coworkers in the lounge, the teacher's lounge. And she said, as she was sitting there, it was like she was just listening to everyone. And there was just so much negativity. And I'm not saying this is how every school is. This is how it was for me too. So when she was telling me this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having major flashbacks right now, because it was that way. Like, everyone complaining about not getting paid enough, not having enough time off, not having the resources they need, not having, like, all of these things. Instead of looking for the good, constantly complaining about misbehaving children or whatever it might be. And she's like, I just felt like all that negative energy was just like absorbing inside of me. And it just she said, like, she literally texted me that day and she's like, I need to make this happen, because I don't want to be in an environment that is negative. And you guys, that's how I felt. I remember calling Jeff on my lunch break and being like, or texting him and being like, I need you to call me so I can get out of this room. Like, call me so I can, like, leave the room and get out of here. Because sometimes, like, when you're in a really high stress job, people are unhappy, right? And when they're unhappy, that negativity spreads. And the best thing that ever happened to me was becoming a coach, because you're surrounding yourself with people who want positivity, who want joy, who want to better their lives, who want to serve others, who want to help others. And while, yes, sometimes it's hard, we are working on our inner selves and focusing on the good. We're focusing on the positive. We're focusing on improving every single day. And anyway, that was just a thought that I had. I think it's so true. Like, we can have so many purposes, so many deeper whys, and you almost have to, like, I remember as a brand new coach, Mindy Wender, if you guys don't know her, but we didn't ever have, like, conference calls like this. I don't even think Zoom existed back then. And we would jump on these voice webinar type things. So you couldn't talk back, but you could just listen. And I remember one time was telling us that, oh my gosh, and I'm losing my train of thought right now. Holy crap. Anyway, Mindy talks about a lot of awesome things, but this one thing that really stood out to me, what was I thinking about? What was I just talking about? Negativity? What? Oh my gosh, you guys, I feel like I'm crazy. And I seriously love those calls. One time I remember and I'm pretty sure it's this exact same call that I'm thinking of. She had this webinar, or whatever you call it, this phone conference, and we were supposed to be going to, like, a church activity, but I felt like I really needed to be on it. Like, I just had this feeling like I really need to be on this call. So I remember I would, like, step away. I had the call on. I would step away and I'd listen for like 10 minutes and then I'd go to the party for 10 minutes. And I probably should not have done that. It was probably really rude. But, yeah. Well, I can't remember what I was saying. I'll remember it in a minute. Okay, I'm a full-time traveling teacher. Oh my gosh, I've never even heard of that. Tell me what a traveling teacher is. Like, you go to different schools, you're a sub. What does it mean? Unmute yourself. Is it Saya? Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, tell me what.
I basically just go to house and work with the children one-on-one.
Oh, that's awesome. So are they homeschooled, or are they kids with disabilities, or what?
I mean, some do have disabilities, but most of them, it's just like their beginning stepping stones before they go into pre-K or UPK.
Cool. So tell me a little bit more about what you feel like you need help with, because it probably takes a lot of time out of your day to be driving to where you're going. Like, what is your biggest struggle right now as a coach?
My biggest struggle is finding the time to invite. I've basically just been trying to fit it into my pockets of, before I'm going into houses or once I'm coming out of houses, but just trying to find that time to squeeze it in.
Have you ever done invites via voice message?
On and off.
Because I think that would be awesome to do while you're driving to your homes. So what you would have to do is you'd have to plan ahead and create like have you ever watched Micah's, what do they call it? My brain is literally not working right now. Where she has collections. Thank you. Okay. The collections in Instagram, because you would have to do a little bit of work prior, like maybe every Sunday night you could create like a folder for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and have these invites that you can send on Mondays, and then follow-ups on Mondays, and etc. every day of the week. I think that would actually work really well if you're in the car a lot. I don't know about you guys, but like I can voice text and not even look at my phone. Maybe that's dangerous. I don't know. But for me, like I don't need to like look at my phone to like move my thumb up and off. So it would be an awesome way. And you can even like forward them too. So if you created an awesome, really solid, like less than 45-second invite, you could then just use that same voice recording. And before you even left for work, you could send it to your entire Monday list. That's, I think, a really fun way to do it. And I think people really like to hear our voices. It makes it a little more personal than just getting like a copy and pasted invitation. But you should try that next week or even tomorrow if you have time, and let us know how it goes.
Absolutely.
And if anyone else needs help with inviting, like if that's your struggle, I really challenge you to just step out of your comfort zone. I know for me, it was like hard at first. And then once you just do it over and over again, it becomes so habitual that it doesn't even faze you anymore. You're more excited because you have so much more confidence in doing it. It's like with anything. I remember, when I left the classroom, I actually was working at what do they call it? Like an education technology company, I think is what they called it, as a sales rep. You guys, I'm not a sales rep. Literally, like, don't know anything about sales, don't know anything about anything. And so what they had us do though is cold call schools. And that was terrifying for me. Because for one, what principal is going to accept a call from some random salesperson? Like none. No principal has time for a salesperson to get on the phone. But I became really good with my words and in asking the right questions. And that's kind of what we do too, is when you're talking to people, it's so important to ask them questions. If we ever send an invite and someone gets like a yes or like, hey, yeah, I'd like more info, I think we then get like so excited that we just like throw all the information at them, and then they freak out and they're like, what in the world just happened? I just read like a 4-page novel and it's too much. So what I would recommend and what I do is after my invites are sent, people respond and they say like, hey, yeah, I want, or like, yeah, that sounds interesting. Tell me more about it. Then I say, girl, I'm super excited to talk with you more about this. Tell me a little bit about your struggles. Where do you want to be in the next 2 to 3 months? What do you struggle with most? Is it your nutrition? Is it your workouts? Or is it both? And I always put like a little laughy face after that, because for me, that's what it was. Like my nutrition sucked and I was not being consistent with my workouts. So just if you need some ideas for what happens after the invite, that's kind of a good thing to do, is just start asking them questions, finding their pain points, and then you can provide that solution for the pain point that they have. Okay. All right. It's so true, Allison. That's hilarious. Okay, Jessica. Okay, here's my question. I'm wanting to love my job teaching every single day, but being a successful coach as well. Is that even possible? I always hear so many say, I'm done working. What would be your advice? Okay, so I think it is possible because I've done it. I felt like I was a pretty dang good coach. I mean, I wasn't the best coach, but I was a good coach while I was teaching. It is hard because you can't really be on your phone all day, right? Like maybe in another job or something. I don't know what other jobs look like really. But as a teacher, one of the things that I did was like if I don't know about all elementary teachers, but I had literally 5 minutes to go pee in between classes. So I'd be like speed walking to go to the bathroom and I'd be voice messaging while I was doing it. Like I legit used every single crack in my day to be responding or talking or inviting or whatever. So in that sense, I do think it's possible to be doing the daily activities. I also woke up an extra hour earlier so that I could get my workout in, get my post written for the day, have it up and ready to go. I actually didn't post right away. I would save it. I'd have everything ready to go. I'd save it. And then when I got to school, then I would post it because I don't think a lot of people, and at that time, Instagram and Facebook and all that whole world was so different. But at that time, like no one was awake at 4:45 in the morning. But at 7 they were. So I would always save it and post it right when I got to work. Now it probably wouldn't matter if you posted it super, super early because people see it days later even now. I'm trying to think of like all the things that were a struggle for me. One of the biggest and hardest things for me was being a leader to my team while I was teaching. And I think the most beneficial thing you can do, and probably Lauren should be answering this because she's a rock star and she's a full-time teacher. But one of the best things you can do is just be super intentional and have a schedule and make it a routine. So if you're like, maybe you prop up your phone while you're driving home or something and you do a little training or you talk about some idea or you talk about Instagram or whatever it might be. Maybe every other Tuesday night you have a team call. And I think those are really, really important as you're building a team because the team calls, because that's where people begin to see you as their leader, is when you're stepping up and taking those opportunities to learn and grow. It's kind of scary because, to be honest, like I remember when I was holding my first team calls, and even sometimes now I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I feel like I'm just like learning everything as I go still. Like there's still so much to learn and there's always so much to figure out with social media. But as I learn, I just share that with my team so that they don't have to go and do all the things that I'm doing, so that they're not feeling left in the dark. Like with 6 weeks of the work, just sharing kind of my plan and what I have going on and what we're doing throughout the next few weeks, so that if my girls need a plan and if they need a little extra guidance, they have the opportunity to learn from me and to use what I'm creating. I love to just help my girls as much as possible and give them all the resources that I have so that if they need it, if they don't, regardless, they have it. Yeah, so Lauren said, I work in the cracks of my teaching day. Yep. On the way to school, on my lunch break, my prep period. I wrote my post today during hall duty. Yeah, I never had hall duty. That would be awesome though. So yeah, that was kind of how I did it when I was working full time. It's just in the cracks. Like if I was done with all of my teaching stuff, I would just spend a little extra time on my side hustle. One of the things I want to encourage you guys, have you guys raise your hand if you have made a how has coaching like blessed my life video? Okay, legit, like 2 people raise their hands. So that's your homework tonight. Just kidding. I don't want to be your teacher, but that is something this week, and since it's Thursday now, this weekend, I want you guys to create a video of yourself. You can use your phone, like literally just prop it up and press play. I like to use my watch. Here's a secret. If you guys probably already know this, but if you have an iWatch, there's a little setting that's a camera, and you can take pictures. It's like a remote. So then you can press start, so it like looks more natural, and there's not like you like touching the button kind of a thing. You can press start with your finger, and you can press stop too. So that's kind of nice. But create a video just sharing your story, sharing about how coaching has blessed your life. Why did you become a coach? What has it done for you? And it doesn't have to be like anything super significant, you guys. All it has to be is, this has been like the best community, or I've made some of the most incredible friends. I've lost 10 pounds in the last 3 months. Like whatever it looks like for you, talk about that. Maybe you've grown in your confidence because of all the inner work that you're doing. There's so many different ways that coaching can bless your life. And as a coach, that might not look like a financial thing right now. And maybe it does. Maybe you sold 5 challenge packs last week, and that's a buttload of money that is coming into your bank account next week. Talk about what that's going towards. Is that going to help pay for a bill? Is that going to help pay for maybe one of your kids' extracurriculars? Is that going to pay for groceries or for diapers? Because it's funny, like last night I was laying in bed, I could not sleep. I woke up at 1 and could not go back to sleep. And I was just laying there and I was thinking, like, I remember when I was just hoping for an extra $500 a month. Like that was as big as my dreams were at that time. And that was really what made a huge impact on our life at that time. And I think it's so much easier to talk about the blessings when they're not these massive financial things. Talk about the little, really significant, monumental things in your life that are coming to you because of coaching. Okay? I just don't have a lot of people under me that are actively doing programs. That's okay, Megan. So my advice would just be go find more people, go invite more people, and really just start to grow your team. It's going to be small at first. And that's why I always let my coaches join my challenge groups at first, because I think it's, for me, I personally, and I think depending on who we are, like based on like the people we bring into our tribe, for me, I like the really big active groups, because you're always going to have people who are flies on the wall. You're always going to have people who are a little more quiet, but they're still there. They're still actively like in the group. They're just maybe not as vocal. It's kind of like when you're in a classroom, you always have like those 5 people, or maybe even just like the 2 who won't shut up, right? They answer every single question. You're like, let's give the rest of the class a chance. Okay. You're going to have that same dynamic in your challenge groups, where you have the same 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever people engaging and communicating and cheering each other on and talking to each other. And then you're going to have those people who never say a word, and all of a sudden they send you this email and they're like, I'm so grateful for your group. I've been in here for the last 3 months and I've lost 30 pounds and blah, 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 blah. Like that's why I think those big groups are so important, is because you have people constantly communicating in there. So if you are one of those people, and I know Micah does the same thing, and I'm sure almost everyone in our downline does that same thing too, but I would just get together with a whole bunch of coaches and do a group with them, and kind of divvy up the hard work that it comes from running a challenge group. Okay, I'm going to end this meeting so that I can save the recording. I hope that was helpful. I feel like I talked a lot, but you guys are super quiet too. So, but it was kind of fun to hear some of your guys' stories. I hope that was helpful. And if you need anything, you can always send me a message, or anyone else, really, honestly. But okay, thanks so much for jumping on, you guys. See you later.